Signs of the Southland for Monday, March 20th, 2023. We have with us today, joining our usual crew of Jack Purdy and Jake Grant, Miss Maggie Dosser. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you for asking.
Introduce yourself to our lovely audience, will you please?
So I'm Maggie. I've been writing for the Rumble Seat for about, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 months, not very long, covering just women's basketball with my good friend Jack. And yeah, I went to tech like everybody else here, and I graduated in spring. Now I'm a corporate American working for banks, trying to keep them from falling apart right now. So yeah,
Scheller loves nothing more than that sentence you just said right there.
yeah.
Wait,
I got
keeping banks from falling
consultant,
apart or the
And
other
corporate
bit?
corporate
American,
American.
both together. My goodness.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I was born into the curse of being a tech fan, so I had to grow up like this, then decided to go here so I could just continue it for
Hey,
whoever.
at least you didn't have a choice. I mean, the three of us, Jack, you're kind of
I,
interesting because you
I,
were
I could have done Georgia, but I didn't really want to.
the
Yeah.
the other two of us. I'm from Chicago. I could be suffering for other teams.
You could
Yeah.
just be
Second most
suffering for the
likely
Cubs.
was.
Yeah, you already have it. You're already a Cubs fan,
Your
so
suffering was locked in.
I mean, maybe it's more fitting than I thought. Then.
Womp womp. There's no good way to segue to this, so we're just going to roll into it. Our major news topic for football so far, which is surprising because it's like the first day of spring and we have football updates, is that Georgia Tech football is heading to Ireland for the start of the 2024 season. They will play FSU on, I don't remember the exact date, but they'll open the 2024 season versus FSU. That will be at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, just like the Boston College game in 2016. Jack, I believe you and Maggie were at the announcement. Do you have any notes to add on this?
I was. Maggie wasn't. Maggie was in the same vicinity as the same people that were at the announcement in
True.
Savannah the next day for the St. Patrick's Day parade. They're the Irish
That
minister
counts.
of cults, the Irish minister of small towns or something like that, heritage, and one other. I'm forgetting all the names already, but basically he's just like the culture guy, like for the Irish government.
He
Was there?
left Ireland to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Savannah.
He was here for. He was. They
St.
were in the
Patrick's
states
Day in
for.
Savannah is crazy.
I did see that there was a number of also Irish delegates or delegation people at the White House on St. Patrick's Day, and I think this actually might be like a thing they do. So I could be wrong, but I read something that this might not be weird. But like hung out with Dickens the day earlier too. They were around Atlanta doing stuff. So like they got the full Georgia experience. Um, but yeah, no, it's gonna be at week 0, so it's August 24. I want to say is the date of that game. And the player who was there, whose name I'm also forgetting,
David Shanahan.
back.
David
Well,
Shanahan.
Shanahan, yeah, Shanahan, yeah, speak for Shanahan. But there was another player at the press conference where they announced this, and he was like, "Yeah, it's kind of weird to have an August kickoff date like that." Threw him off a little bit. I mean, they'll have to like travel like that Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know when they're going to travel there, but I assume early enough to get the time part figured out so that they got their internal clocks ready. Then they fly right back right after the game. So I put up an article about this, so there is like already like a website dedicated to figure out travel plans if you want to like make it as easy as you want for yourself. There might be other stuff I'm not terribly aware, but you can put a deposit down now to go travel in about a year and a half to Dublin if you want. Um, I'll already
Okay,
be
I
in
have
Europe that summer for the Olympics, so I'm like having to like think like how long do I go to Europe? Do I go to Europe twice in a 3 month stretch here?
Oh,
okay, so I want to walk
well.
I want to walk through the travel plans because I find this fascinating.
Oh, let's go for it.
There's two deposit packages that you can get right now, both for $250 per person. One is just the Aer Lingus Classic. The Aer Lingus is I think
That's
the
the airline.
Irish
That's
It's
the
Irish
Irish
airline.
for
national airline.
airlines, by the way, coming from
Why don't we?
a plane
That
geek.
should be the English word. It should not be airline.
Anyways,
Regardless, one is just the Aer Lingus Classic ticket, probably with travel, and you can do like a 2 or 3 city tour on top of that. However, the second package that you can also get is the game ticket plus a golf tour.
That's the
which is
first one I
just
clicked on. That's the first one I clicked on.
so aggressively Georgia, like
It
state
really
of
is.
Georgia, that I
really
cannot.
is.
I just
None of
cannot
us. I mean,
process
there's
this.
so many golfers in Georgia, and we don't get the true links experience unless you go out there, anyways. So, I mean, it's no St. Andrews and Royal Liverpool, but it's darn close to the real thing. I mean, they played some Ryder Cups in Ireland before. They played one. They played one Ryder Cup in Ireland, and a British Open. So, um,
So your other packages, just to be clear, you have a 3-city package, a 2-city package, a Dublin only, something called Drive Ireland, which I assume is some sort of driving where everything is packaged together, the golf ones, and then some hospitality packages, which I make far too little money to even open the tab for. So it's it's the same setup as last time.
All we can hope for,
same setup as last time.
all we can hope for is the same thing happens that happened in the Northwestern Nebraska game, where the POS systems fail before kickoff, and there's free booze for everyone the entire game. That I will also mention from the press conference, they said there was 12,000 people that traveled when we played in Boston College out there, and that and the game was a good game too. So we had a last minute touchdown win, and like they apparently the Irish people said that people still talk about the game, and like when the tech folks are out there. So I hope that I had no reason to not believe them. So I think it's gonna be big. Notre Dame and Navy are playing in this year's version of the game.
So I've got two things to add. One is legitimate, and the other is kind of a meme. But in terms of legitimate things, I was at a wedding of 2 tech alums this weekend. Congrats to them, by the way. Wonderful day. But the amount of out-of-town tech folk that I know let's just say they don't really go out of their way to travel back for every football game, if you know what I mean, that we're talking about going overseas to specifically go to the game in Ireland. I totally believe that there was 12,000 tech fans there. Mm-hmm. It's an alumni base and fan base with a lot of disposable income, particularly depending on the stage of life that you're in. And it's somebody's excuse to, that's that Europe trip we wanted to do. Time to start thinking about that. So definitely among some even of the less like sports brained folks that I was talking to, they're all in on the Ireland thing. So could totally believe that. But in terms of the more meme type thing, you joke about travel plans. All I know is they got those boys back, because that was my first football game that I watched as a tech student. They got those boys back in time to be out on East Campus, if you'll catch my drift, for a long Saturday night after flying back same day.
Goodness,
so they'll get there and they'll get back.
Yes, I imagine.
I mean, that game is like, what, 6 a.m.? No, 7 a.m. Eastern?
9 a.m.
Yeah.
It was 9 a.m.
I remember I hadn't decided about, it was too early to have gotten accepted at Tech when that game happened, but I remember watching it at one of the restaurants along the Dragon Con parade route. It happened, the parade and the game were at the same time. So I was like going back and forth between a bar, watching the game, going outside, watching stormtroopers, and back and forth and whatnot. So it's at least early enough that it's at parade time. But I don't know. That that was also 2016, so lots have changed.
Yeah, a lot's changed. I ate breakfast at Woody's Dining Hall that morning. A lot has changed. But
the youths don't even know.
I didn't have that.
Oh, no.
I had no Woodies in my lifetime. We both had no Woodies in our Maggie. We had no Woodies to go to.
My freshman dorm was right on top of the West Village construction site. So we got all the Woody's food and all the Village construction noise, jackhammering at 7 a.m. Good time. In fact, that's probably why I was at Woody's at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. But that's neither here nor there.
It's very interesting that we're being sent to Ireland again. It's weird. You never really know what the selection criteria are.
Well, I did ask Jay Bad about this. Like, I got one question. I was like, was there any? I think the Irish delegation wanted to have us back just in general. So I don't doubt that we were on their radar to bring back overseas. But I did ask about the Florida State part, because if you look at our the schedule that year of who else we have at home, Notre Dame's already coming. They're playing in a Mercedes-Benz in October. And then it's like, do you bring VMI? Do you bring Wake Forest? Like, who else do you really bring? So in terms of next highest quality legendary opponent, if you want to put it that way, they made sense. But I asked Jay, I'm like, was there anybody else like consulted for this on your schedule? Because they mentioned that this is a home game for us. We are the home team.
Yeah, and we haven't played FSU at home since 2015.
Yeah, and so like,
That was
anyone else?
fun.
And I asked, was anyone else considered? And he just said this was a unique opportunity for us. So I have no idea if what happens
Oh
there.
my God. Ugh.
I don't think he wanted to disparage if another school like was offered and said no, or what. How that's probably just backroom stuff he didn't want to talk about. But I think this was the best possible solution considering what we had available at that time, regardless. So
Yeah, I'm looking at that schedule right now, and that is that's fun. Let's move on. Let's talk about men's tennis. Two away matches for the boys, the Racket Jackets. One at Clemson and the other at Boston College. Mr. Grant, hit me with the Clemson result first.
Yep. Again, not to disparage any of the wonderful teams we'll talk about today, but these are two games you got to win, especially for your team. That's where the men's tennis team has been the last few years. The ACC is super stacked. Like we say every week, think about it in the sense of women's or men's basketball. That's how you can think about men's and women's tennis. It's how you can think about baseball. Softball's getting there, but it's not quite there yet. Anyways, Clemson coming into the game, or the match, if you will, had been pretty solid to start the season. Granted, that was against a lot, and I mean a lot of, let's just say, non-power opponents to start the season. In terms of common opponents, they lost 7-0 to South Carolina. Team Tech, as you'll remember, was right in the mix with and a very good team at that. They lost, let's see if there's any other common opponents, NC State and Wake Forest, both combined. They combined for 1 point between the two. So not a Clemson Tigers team you really want to, not really want to be dropping those points, especially when wins are going to be hard to come by against the top of the table. And even though it was on the road, Georgia Tech played, I would say, quite well. They got a 4-1 win, kind of a get-right win, if you will, after having some weeks off, but also some tough Tobacco Road opposition in recent weeks. The result was a doubles point win. Martin and McDaniel defeating Azuma and Whitaker of Clemson 6-4. Chopra and Shakdev defeating Smith and Dika from Clemson 6-2. And that did it for doubles. As you know, don't need to finish the third court if you've already won 2-0. With Georgia Tech, you'll note that they did not play out all 7 points. They left the two unfinished between Martin and Azuma on 1 and McDaniel and Gonzalez on 2. Both of those were in 3 sets. Of note, Martin and McDaniel, as you know, if you've been listening for a while, are our court 1 and 2 players. And one thing that we've talked about is Tech kind of struggling in the depth. So it's great to see Tech, getting 3 points from further down the sheet, if you will. Chopra got a win 6-3, 6-4. Sakdev lost on court 4. That was 6-2, 6-3. Chakri and Bauer both won on 5 and 6. Both of those were in 2 sets. So great to see some of the depth kind of come into play there.
To butt in on this one, I will note Bauer was the one that clinched the match, and he had to win a tiebreak 8-6. And then that time, Martin and McDaniel were in a third set at that point. So that's a big deal that he pulled that out when he had to, because that's a lot of strenuous tennis that Martin and McDaniel were having to play right there and then. So
yeah, especially midweek on a Wednesday. That's kind of one of the reasons you don't really see them play this all the way out to the full 7 points. Usually if it's 1-1 after 2 sets, they won't finish, and they will if they're in the third. But with this, it's finish the match, get on the road, come home type deal. On Sunday, they headed up to Boston College, or what is that, Chestnut Hill. And
they weren't even in Chestnut Hill. Their tennis facility is somewhere not in Boston, Chestnut Hill.
Well, Boston College isn't super Boston-y either. It's nearby, But anyways, they did play all 7 points this weekend. They were able to bounce back and sweep the singles after losing the doubles point. Of note, Chopra and Sakdev got the win in doubles, and Martin and McDaniel got upset on court 1. Kind of odd, but sometimes these things happen. In terms of singles play, you had Martin winning in 3 sets, including a tiebreak. You had McDaniel winning in 2 back-to-back sets that featured tiebreaks. So don't see that every day. And then you had Chopra, Sakdev, Chakri, and Bauer all winning in 2 straight sets themselves. So great to see there. I mean, it's a get right week as we kind of noted, and I don't have a lot of notes. I mean, I don't think it pushes them too much up the rankings with kind of how they have been playing, but wins are wins. One thing we said coming into the season is they're going to need to stack them because they'll definitely get the quality play. And so far they've kind of taken care of business in places that they've needed to, with playing some pretty tough opponents in the non-con. Coming up, they've got North Carolina and Duke. Both of those are scary, but they're at home. You've got Florida State and Miami. That's a road swing. And then you've got Louisville and Notre Dame at home before finishing the season at Virginia and Virginia Tech. So probably a little bit less than halfway through. Yeah, less than halfway through the ACC slate. So a lot to play to kind of improve their seat in the conference tournament. But I'd say they're about where I expected them so far, unless you guys have something else to chime in there.
No contest for me. Let's flip over to the women's side of Ken Byers, which played host to Boston College earlier in the week.
Yep. Pretty similar story there. Another 6-1 win, another lost doubles point too, actually, before coming back and sweeping through the singles. I don't know why the script writers did this, but they decided to. Maybe they're getting a little bored. Anyways,
the scripts just across sports are just getting wild. They're just the NFL one got leaked. There was an MLS script that got leaked by Atlanta United. Like this, they're really just out of control nowadays.
That was such a good tweet. It was such a good tweet.
It really was.
In terms of the rest of it,
we should write a script. Oh, this is a great art. Putting that in the back burner.
Yeah, how Jake Grant would see this stuff play out. Anyways, in terms of results on the singles side, it's Boston College. Just take care of work. Sometimes you lose a tough doubles point, and they bounce right back. Carol Lee won in 3 sets. Bill Chev won in 2. Hakjane was in 3 sets, and then Alejandra Cruz, Rosie Garcia Gross, and Kate Shabura in 2 on courts 4 through 6. This team is pretty deep. They're showing it. They're taking care of business, and it's exactly what they need to, right? They had a brutal 4-match stretch against every Tobacco Road team, all of whom were ranked, including 3 top 10 teams, which that's not a very fun stretch. And it means that their ACC schedule will get slightly easier down the rest of the way. And, I guess that even includes a number 25 Syracuse, who they also won 6-1 against. So, that's easy compared to 3 top 10 teams in 4 matches. So.
Yeah, they've gotten a much more relaxed draw coming up here.
Yeah. I want to note, just in terms of just awesome names, that Syracuse has a girl named Victoria Kanapatskaya. This is a new spelling of Victoria I've never seen, but totally makes sense. Viktorya.
Jack, I want you
It's
to
a very
remember,
tennis name. It's a very tennis name.
I want you to remember, what did I say last week about Syracuse tennis recruiting?
Absolutely nothing.
Oh my goodness!
Considering I forgot that we talked about Stoudemire on last week's pod too. So
Victoria is from Minsk, Belarus. Syracuse, extremely hardcore in the international tennis recruiting. They have a girl from Turkey, a girl from Portugal, a girl from Japan, a girl from Belarus, and another one from Japan, and one from Russia, making up their roster. So, like I said, extremely good at going overboard or overseas and saying, "Come to upstate New York."
Their women's tennis team definitely is in the running for all name team just across the ACC.
And this is pretty banks of the memory type thing. I'm pretty sure Victoria Kanapatskaya is the one who beat Vicky Cruz. And I think that's what caused them to lose her senior day. I was at that match. I cannot remember exactly how that went down, but that sticks out. That's my old man rambling of the day. So there you go.
Maggie,
Wow.
That's how much sports we watch from Tech. Like, we've gone too far at times. Like, this is we
I'll
are
say.
true sickos a little too often.
Yeah.
Jake especially is sports pilled, I think is the best way to describe it.
I'm remembering it now. It was definitely her, and I remember being really mad about out of bounds calls. So we need to move on before I get mad. So
Let's move on to a quick break.
Yes, as always, this podcast is brought to you by section103.com. Section 103 is the very best place to buy your Georgia Tech things. And I say things now, not just shirts, because they not only have stickers, but they also have pins. They've had the shirts and they've had the stickers for Fight, Win, Drink, Get Naked pins, and now they've got the pins. So if you really want to show everyone exactly what you are all about, go ahead and shop now for those. They, like we said, match the shirt and the sticker, and they've also got other stickers and buttons and things, so go ahead and check those out. You'd have to order a bunch to get to $70, but as always, free shipping on orders over $70 every day. And if you buy $70 worth of Fight, Win, Drink, Get Naked pins, you're all right in my book. So go ahead and check them out. You can buy them at Section 103 on Twitter as well.
Welcome back to Signs of the Southland. Mr. Grant, you saw the first and last innings of an entire weekend of softball, you tell me.
That I did. So as I noted, Saturday, I was on my way to a wedding, and I was like, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to go for a walk. And of course, because I'm easily distracted, I stopped very briefly at track, and then I walked past softball as well. I saw the top half of the first inning.
Can't verify since I was there with him.
24 hours later, they have played 3 softball games, and I'm biking by. And I'm like, wow, they're in the top of the 7th. Perfect. Yeah, so it was a tough weekend, though, all things considered, for softball. Kind of as we prognosticated last week, Virginia Tech's a very good team. They're number 13 in the country for a reason. Also, we have Clemson and Florida State coming up. Don't forget about that. So it's about to be a tough 3 weeks in a row, unless they do something miraculous here. Of softball talking, because Clemson and Florida State are also very good. But Virginia Tech's number 13 in the country for a reason, like I said, and those successive scores were 7-4, 8-2, and 5-1. No run rules. That's always good. I'd say the bats were certainly the most effective in the first game, Jack. I don't know how long you wound up staying, but, you know, it's tough. You want to go 2-1, 1-2 in these games, and it's a little bit tough not to get any, but in terms of, you know, just hanging around, they certainly hung around. That's what I can say.
I stayed for, I think, another inning and a half. They just had a long inning after Chandler Dennis got beat up pretty bad in the second inning, so that eventually ran into my time. I did the classic, I forgot it's 40 degrees outside and the sun still gives you sunburn regardless of season, so I was a fresh rosy red nose the next day. But yeah, no, it was rough. Virginia Tech's team is so good. They're so good. They can hit well. Also, darn good gray uniforms, as me and Jake noted. Like, they pull off the slate gray pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Boo, gray uniforms, boo.
That we led with, we don't usually like the gray knockoff gray uniforms, but these actually worked for whatever reason.
I still think Akshay should bring back his uniform column. That's an old take of mine.
If you add another 5 hours during the day, I might consider it.
Now you're just giving me. I'm writing about Survivor right now. I need a real thing to write about at some point.
So gonna take another left turn briefly to indulge my nostalgic freshman year past. There was a kid on that floor who operated his week as 6 28-hour days. So you could do it, Akshay. You know, you'd be real messed up by the end of the week, but.
Oh my God, he's the original grind set, like 3 days in 1 day guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maggie, would you ever do this? This sounds awful.
Absolutely not.
At some point, I'll dig up the TikTok again. It's anyway.
Anyways, softball. It's been kind of an interesting go about for them. They've had a sneaky tough schedule, and I think the numbers still back that up pretty solidly. In terms of the strength of schedule, that's always something to keep an eye on. They're actually at 31 after this week, which was interesting. I would not have expected that to go down after playing the number 13 team in the country. In terms of, we forgot about the midweeker. Whoops, that was a win. Just for the record there, that was an 11-3
rights violation. That.
Well, no, that one ended as we were recording last week because we were recording on a Tuesday.
Half this podcast is us just saying we don't know what day of the week it is.
Really?
This is great content.
Time is fake. Time has been fake since March 2020. So,
anyways, in terms of the USI Universal Selection Index from the Rumble Seat has them down at 79th. So that is a little bit of a dip. Having a 1-3 week will do that. That puts them, I'd say outside of our next 4 out, just to be charitable, but they're certainly in the mix if some things break their way, especially if they get some wins coming up. So the opportunity's on the table, but as we kind of noted, it's going to be a tough ride through the beginning of April. So just stick with them, and there's a lot of season left to play for softball.
Any other news and notes from the softball diamond, Mr. Purdy?
Yes, Madison Dobbins in one of the games hit her first homer, and then Blake Nelman's been climbing up the strikeout chart is this her junior or senior year? I feel like I should know this.
She lost a year because of COVID.
So senior plus the COVID year, so she should still have 1 to burn.
Okay,
I thought that was 2 to burn.
This is her senior year.
She's up.
Okay, well.
Either way, this is why Tech started referring to kids as first, second, and third years, because you'd walk in, you have like 18,000 credit hours, and it just ruined the whole system. But no, she's at 501 strikeouts now, I believe. She's been second in program history for the last weekend or so, I want to say, but she got to 500 this weekend, so big stuff there. I haven't actually checked to see who's first in this list. Jake, I would imagine you might know this off the top of your head in terms of who is number 1. And if she's close to it, I don't know how. This is the stuff I know for volleyball, not for softball yet.
I looked this up, and I am.
Maggie get 1,000 FTRS
she
points.
She has a banner at Mewborn, and it's driving me nuts. Oh my goodness! I should know it. I'll have an answer for you in like 1 minute. It'll be in my notes somewhere.
Should I talk about swimming while he finds that?
Fantastic. Let us go to swimming then.
Denise Ayrton was at Knoxville this weekend, as well as was diving diving was there, and as well as
diving or swim and dive for women were in Knoxville. The men, which we should talk about today, are in Minneapolis.
She swam the 1650 freestyle. She finished 15th. They just do time finals for that, so it wasn't like the other events where you do prelims, morning finals. That'd be rough. These are already 17-minute races, 16, 17, 18. She swam it at 16:02.76, which got her an honorable mention All-American nod. She finished 39th in the 500 free. I thought she was supposed to be swimming the 400 IM as well. She does not appear in the results, so I think she scratched that early enough to where she didn't even show up as a scratch in the live results. Bradescu did not make finals in platform, but she did finish 28th, so not all that bad there. The meet as a whole was like I was telling Maggie before the podcast, this was like must-watch TV for me because there was records all over the place. Virginia was part of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 NCAA records during this bout. 6 NCAA records and then a meet record between the 200 medley, 200 IM, 200 freestyle relay, 100 butterfly, which that's the one I'll note. Kate Douglas, the record was like a flow 50, and she swam it in 40.5 seconds. Like, she cut 2 seconds off her prelims time and then just wiped 3 people broke the NCAA record in that race, and she beat them all by a second. Like, it was truly ridiculous how great that race was. And then I missed Saturday when Kate Douglas got the 200 breaststroke record, and then they broke the 400 freestyle relay record.
So I'm going to butt back in with our softball addendum. One, shame on us, mostly me, for not knowing this off the top of my head. Jessica Salinger, the GOAT, Tech's all-time leader in, I'll walk you through it in case you don't remember, because you probably don't. ERA with a 1.12, on-base percentage against with a .150, strikeouts per game with 9.71 per game over an entire 4-year career. Number 1 in wins all time with 109. Not saves because, she wasn't doing much of that. In appearances, 168. Games started, 152. Complete games, 123. Shutouts with 52. Innings pitched with 1,008.2. Strikeouts with 1,398. Sorry, Blake Nelman is not catching that. No way. It's not happening.
No.
Yeah. So every record except fielding percentage and saves. So shame on me for not remembering that off the top of my head, but I was right. She does have a banner at Mewborn, and I'm taking a partial credit on that.
That's okay. Well, that's crazy. That's a lot of numbers. What was I? Oh, swimming. That's right. So the guys swim next week, or this Wednesdays when they start. They'll be in Minneapolis swimming at University of Minnesota's place. All of our Turkish contingent will be there. So that's Fatih Unlu, Burkay Saka, and Mert Kielewicz. Did I get that right? Am I forgetting one? I'm doing this straight off the top of my head.
Mert, Burke, Baturunlu, and diver. We have divers.
I think we have a diver.
Yeah,
that's
there
going.
is a diver. Lechuga is there doing the 1
And there's
meter.
a freshman too. There's a freshman.
And
This is
Clyer.
great podcasting. Yeah.
Flyer doing the platform.
All right, I found it.
I was pulling it up, but y'all
We got
were
it right. We got it right.
stalling
Hey,
for
we
me.
got it right. We got it right off the top of our heads.
Yes. And we did mention Bradescu, right? I was
Yes.
deep in the softball media guide. Okay,
Yes,
cool.
yes. It was sadly not too much to talk about there, but yeah, as a whole, it was a crazy good meet. Like that will be. There were some races there that were legendary. This for those that did watch, this served basically as a proto Olympic trials for next year, where tickets are already through the roof to go watch it in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. They're literally putting this in a football stadium with the March Madness setup. So it going to be crazy.
Just remember who originally invented the Olympic trials take, Jack.
Me?
You're gonna need to walk that one out.
Oh, that was me about the ACC championships, right?
Oh, I mean, I don't know.
I
we
thought you were
we were at the
referencing
same meets last year. I mean, we probably thought of the same thing.
I thought you were referencing my comment from like 2 months ago. Maybe that's me.
I can't even remember what we did last week, dude.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Walk it out. Come on, walk it out for the class. Do a good podcast.
For the class, there's so much talent in the NCAA system that a la ACCs to Olympic trials, the NCAA serve as an Olympics. Anyways, I was four miles down the rabbit hole on that. So anyways, good content. The NCAAs are going to be great. They're going to be great up in Minneapolis, which is, I don't know. I've heard mixed opinions on Knoxville as a venue, but Minnesota, the
It looked
University of
sizable
Minnesota
enough on television. Like it definitely looked smaller than Macaulay, but it looked kind of decently big.
That's
enough.
why they split them up too, in terms of the men's and women's not being at the same place. But I was going to say Minneapolis, phenomenal venue. Phenomenal.
Good. Okay. Good to know. I'll shout out my friend Liam Bell, who I swam with growing up, who's going to be swimming the 100 breast for Cal. So,
Cal, you hear that, Akshay? Cal.
Maggie, do you have an instinctively painful reaction when the word California pops up like it does for Akshay?
No. What did California do to you?
I am a casual Stanford fan, so Cal doing things makes me upset on principle.
Okay. Understandable.
He's
Very
got a love
disappointing.
for it. I don't get it, but
Unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable things, let's talk about track and field. You both, Jack and Jake, saw some very interesting pole vaulting and some triple jumping in your time at the Georgia Tech Invite, would you say? Let's go to Mr. Purdy first, just so I can snipe Jake for his Cal comments.
Oh man. Yeah, we got there in the morning, Saturday. They were doing discus throw, triple jump, pole vaulting, and high jump also, which you can barely see at the end of the stands we were standing in. We saw one tech guy, don't know his name, did do triple jump. He was 2 for 3 in successful attempts. Standings wise, we did not catch any of that. They don't have a scoreboard there, so it's hard to really know what's going on. You're just kind of there just to watch it happen. And teams were still arriving at that point too. Like there was a lot. It was very early on in that. I learned that pole vaulting is a lot harder than it looks. I think me and Jake saw. I think we saw about 20 attempts, and there was maybe 5 successful pole vaults.
Yeah, I forgot. So it's been I think 2 or 3 years, probably since before the pandemic, that I was last at a track meet, and I was like, man, you got to kind of be a head case to I'm just gonna go charge with my big stick and then fly through the air, and then I'm gonna
Flip
miss a
yourself
fair
upside
amount of
down.
times. Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah.
Do the right
that doesn't
back
look
arch.
hard.
Yeah. It's like you're doing Jake. It's like you're doing a backstroke start when you get over the pole. Like you got to do that whole arch your back thing and kind of leap out and be flat. It's wild.
Yeah.
Apparently, the best CrossFitters are ex-pole vaulters.
CrossFit. I love that. No. Anyways, we caught some discus. Discus is always a fun time, and we also caught those jumps, like Jack said. So certainly a little bit of a different speed. Not something that I think that most folks don't catch too much of. In terms of success on the track, though, Georgia Tech saw a lot of it kind of, concentrated on the actual running the track rather than the field events. Shalia Harris second in the 100-meter dash and the 200-meter dash. Those were two notable finishes. Kayla Rose, second in the 800-meter run. You had Mary Brady and Helena Lindsay getting third, fourth, followed by Kayla Rose in sixth in the 1,500-meter run. Erin Fegans getting second in the 5,000 on the track. In terms of, I guess, more track because hurdles still count. You had Taylor Grimes finishing third in the 100-meter hurdles. You also saw, let's see, steeplechase. No, we didn't have any entries in that. What was the other one I was going to shout out from the women's side? Crap. Oh, yes. Camille Trotman, fourth in the high jump in terms of standouts there. You also had Jillian Ketton and Atala Smith, third and fourth in the long jump, kind of rounding out your Georgia Tech notable finishes, I guess, is the way to put that. But it was a pretty stacked event. I mean, Jack, between the two of us, we kept poking out more notable Power 5 schools. I think we saw Louisville for sure,
Louisville
Georgia.
There. I saw Missouri's bus show up when I left softball. I think Syracuse, multiple Orange teams were there, I think.
Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson at least. Maybe Syracuse too. I
don't know about Syracuse. Lipscomb. I know I saw them, but yeah, it was a good event.
The final note I have on track and field is that the Michael K. Anderson building, the headquarters for track and field on campus, was commemorated on, I think this is Monday. No, it was Thursday. That is my bad. Yeah. So that also is on the table. It was a nice renovation. It looks really nice. So
I forgot the men's results. Nick Nyman and Joey Sandel went 1-2 in the 5,000. That's pretty good to see. You also had Omar Anot and McKinley Thompson go 3-4 in the high jump, which was way down from us. I don't believe any pole vaulters recorded a score from any of the schools. Georgia Tech didn't have any pole vaulters compete, but I believe all four of them failed all progressions.
Oh no!
Was it raining here on Saturday?
No, it was perfect. It was a gorgeous. Perfect day. Ideal conditions.
It's a tough day to pole vault, I guess.
Wasn't humid. Like it was like there was. Yeah, I don't know.
Maggie, were you like a track athlete or something, or just? Yeah.
I sort of. I ran the 3,200, so I ran the 2 miles. So I was there, but I wouldn't say I was good at it or anything. They just needed someone who was insane enough to run 2 miles.
That's why I was on swim teams. They had to have somebody swim the mile.
They just need somebody to fill it out.
Good times.
I didn't even know that was an event. Honestly, news to me.
It's not a good one. I don't know if you've ever seen a lot of high school women run around an oval for like 15 minutes, but it's not a good time.
Fair enough.
Let's move on to some baseball. The number 16 baseball team in the country, although I think this ranking is old, the number 16 baseball team in the country, or formerly the number 16 baseball team in the country, Georgia Tech, played had two fixtures this week. One was a 12-inning barn burner at Auburn, in which they got walked off, which let me tell you,
that before.
I've seen some truly miserable baseball in my day, and the last 3 innings of this one were truly, truly miserable.
I gotta ask, before I let you all talk about real sports, Akshay, do you know the significance of using the phrase barn burner when it comes to Auburn?
I was trying to make a connection there, but I'm going to leave it at creative wordplay and not references.
Jack, do you know what I'm talking about?
It might come to me, but not off the top of my head. No.
Okay.
I should know. Literally wearing an Auburn shirt right now.
That's blasphemy, Jack. I request that you go change.
So there was a literal former basketball arena at Auburn that they called the Barn. And during a game in 1996 against LSU, the barn caught fire. So quite literally, there was a barn burner at Auburn.
Yeah, there was one on the diamond. Did you not hear what I said? I was talking about the game on Wednesday. Were you not listening to the intro on this?
Oh,
I don't
man.
know. I tried. You know what? I'm gonna stop talking. You can have a podcast. I'll be back in like a minute.
They call it the jungle now. Anyways, not the barn.
Worth it. Worth it. Yeah, it was a loss in 12 innings. I'm trying to pull up the score because I've wiped it from my
It
memory
doesn't
because
matter. It
I
was
was
sad.
disappointed.
It was sad. It doesn't matter. We had our shots to win. We were up in that game, and they just came right on back. So
It was 11 to 12 in 12 innings. It was not a fun game at the end. That was the number 18 Auburn Tigers. And then Tech went to number 2 Louisville
they sure
and
did.
got walked off again in the first game, won the second game 10-4, and then lost 9-3
They
on the
did.
third game.
Wasn't
So,
wasn't great.
Jack, you had a little bit of insight into this. What were your thoughts on this series?
I mean, I at this point, it seems like our pitching rotation is just kind of set. I think we all were kind of impressed with how Schmolke did initially as well. I mean, he had four. He allowed four, but only one earned run in 4 2/3 innings. So certainly didn't have a bad outing in that second game. Why does it say we won 10-4? Did we win this game?
Yes, we won. We went 1-2. You
Yeah,
guys are talking about how this was like
This
the worst week of baseball you've ever
here's,
seen.
Here's why I'm confused.
It
They
is
got
the
it-
worst week of baseball I've ever seen. They got
They have
walked
it.
off twice.
They labeled it wrong in the website. That's why I'm confused. I was like, I knew we won a game because I said we won a game earlier on the thing.
They have the scores marked backwards.
So
They have
yes.
the scores marked the American way and not the the
Yeah,
logical way.
So Smokey did it. So Smokey did well. And Carlisle, I mean, the bullpen cleaned up. Ben King's threw the first, and he threw every game. So he appeared in every game. He only pitched a third of an inning in the second game and faced he threw 2 pitches. So that third game was rough. We ran through basically the entire bullpen. Maggie, I know you were at Notre Dame. Was there anything when you were there that stood out to you? I missed all those games, but what did anything catch your eye while you were watching those games?
Not particularly. We looked really good, and by the end of it, I wasn't paying attention because we were winning by so much. And then I left and I checked the score of the
That was
second
doubleheader
game
day,
because
that's
it was and we were losing by the same amount that we had just won by.
That's right. That was the
So that
19
was-
to 19 day.
Yeah, tough time to leave, but I guess I'm kind of glad didn't have to watch us lose.
That's the right call. That's the right call.
Well,
Right?
I saw a from the Rumble Seat writer who will not be named put in the Georgia Tech baseball chat that we have like, what an amazing day for Georgia Tech. I'm like, bro, we've got another game left. Like, you better watch
Spoke
it
too
now.
soon.
But this team is
His fault.
very good at being at both ends of the we're good or we're not good spectrum in a day apparently. So excuse me. So Finley threw the third game. Not the best outing. 79 pitches, 5 earned runs. Facing 21 batters. Only walked one guy though, so I'll take that over 4 innings. But Louisville's good. They're good. Their uniforms also good.
Hold on,
Really?
didn't they wear the really crappy Tequila Sunrise ones
I
on
thought
Sunday?
I thought it was creative. I'm
Those
not
are
against
awesome.
it. I'm not. I
love
think those are good.
those.
I think those are good.
They're okay. They could use
They're
some
good.
work. It's just because they use the same shade of red, or like they use red all the way down in different shades. And the
It's
stripes.
funky. It's new twist. I'll note in actual baseball, Jaden Jackson to finish that second game had like one of those diving sliding catches in that hole behind third base in front of the left fielder. That was really nice. We had room to spare in that inning, but he had a web gem. So the defense, while it's had its errors throughout so far, I think there was 5. There was 5 total on the weekend. 3 in the first game, 2 in the second game. It's still fine. Hit-wise, we went 11 in the first game, 14 in the second, only 7 in the third game. All of our runs came in the 4th inning, and Louisville pretty much had us down by the last third of the game.
After Akshay's take on Louisville's Tequila Sunrise jerseys, I no longer want him to bring back his uniform.
Tequila
Amazing.
Tequila Sunrise jerseys are good. However, Louisville's is bad.
You know what? I'm just going to let you sit with that take. In terms of the gist that I kind of put in our podcast notes here, I'd say both of our opponents were pretty good. I think, not to call any of you 3 out, Akshay, I think you're being a little bit over dramatic with the result. The pitching is better than it has been. I think losing 2 games at walk-offs and then the other 2 kind of by equal margins shows that these these guys are playing about even to some pretty good teams, like we saw at Louisville. Pretty darn good. Came down to a walk-off. Yes, we were winning a lot of that game. Auburn, yeah, we were winning 7-0. Okay, that one I can hear being a little bit more upset about. But both teams are really good. I think Tech is a team that we said had to reload. I think they've done that relatively effectively on the mound, if inconsistently sometimes. But that they're playing and they're putting themselves in games. It was 6-3 in the rubber match against Louisville until very late in the game there. So I don't know. I'm trying to be the cooler head here. I think they'll be just fine. There's a lot of baseball left to be played, much like I said with softball. A lot of baseball left to be played, and they cannot sustain themselves on boom or bust batting and pitching. But certainly they're in the ballpark, and they've got some runway left, and I would say some winnable games this week.
I want to point out that this Auburn game was stupid. Not only did Tech blow a 7-run lead, to be clear, not only did Tech blow a 7-run lead, this game ended 11-12, yes, or 12-11, yes, with Tech having 22 hits and Auburn having 20. This game there was no defense. Like, no one could pitch in this game. So,
Lordy.
yes,
that's just college baseball for you. Like, these are still kids at the end of the day, unless you're Joe Manley, which case you are a full-fledged adult.
You are a full-fledged, 25-year-old adult that should probably be paying a mortgage right now. But, I digress.
Whoa. Not all of us can be 25-year-old.
I'm just saying, dude is almost eligible to come off of his parents' health insurance plan. He should probably have a real job.
I'm just feeling added here, even though it's probably not shade at me, but I will choose to interpret it as such. So thank you.
This is fully a playful joke on Joe Manley. We're 14-6 right now. Between softball and baseball, does it feel like either record feels like it's wrong? Like, does it feel representative right now? I think softball, I think it's a little bit easier to say that it is, because they definitely are they have a crazy rough schedule, especially ahead of themselves, and they got through some tough opponents up front. Baseball, we started blazing hot, but we played nobody good until we got to Georgia. So there's that. But even then, we still allowed 11 runs to Long Island in 7 innings. So stuff. I think to go back to Jake's point, like, there's just too much variance here. Like, there's just no way you pull this off successfully over the long haul.
I think Tech is, on the baseball side, I think they're overperforming their record, or overperforming their record isn't necessarily true. They're overperforming. Like, they're taking advantage of the variance, whereas with softball, I think they are underperforming. Like, they're getting hurt by the variance. Because baseball, like we said, they can out-hit anyone, and they're getting lucky in some of these cases. But also, they've played a really soft schedule, like you said. Softball, they still have a bunch of hard games left, right? Like, they play... Clemson and FSU are still left. They just played VT. Their entire early season slate was really rough. You're talking about two teams that have drastically different ideas of strength of schedule at this point in time. And one of them is getting hard done by it, and the other is sort of has yet to get hoisted by its own petard, so to speak.
I will say I'm going to kind of couch in a lot of different ways here. Georgia Tech baseball, as it comes to strength of schedule, that is going to rise. The ACC slate that you have,
yeah.
I mean, they're at 66 right now, which is that's adjusted RPI. What are they at in strength of record?
Come on, find it on the second monitor.
I'm finding it on the second monitor.
Oh,
sorry, I thought I had this all on mine, but then the SEC is too good that it broke the USI script for baseball. So hooray!
Don't give them too much credit. They already get an entire mini site for D1 baseball.
I just speak it how it is. Anyways,
I learned so much stuff I didn't think I was going to learn on any given day when these two start jostling about data. It's.
Yeah, no, that's why we are both equal in our data prowess. Just kidding. He's way better than me.
This is also both of our jobs for the most part.
That's why his sites don't break and mine do. But anyways, we're at 91 in strength of schedule. That's only gonna go up, right? We're about to play Clemson, who's had a brutal schedule. They're not the best team in the world. They're 12-8, but they're coming up next. Actually, another weird thing that the script writers did. We're playing both Clemson softball and baseball next week. Why? Spread it out. Also, put one of them in Clemson and one of them here.
Tennis at least does a good enough job of. Well, actually, we go to both. No, yeah, tennis. We'll send the North Carolina teams here. We go to North Carolina. They figure it out.
Yeah. See, part of the reasons that softball is weird is that there's exactly 13 teams, so they play 4 at home, 4 on the road, and 4 not at all, and then they just keep flipping through. So it lines up every 6th year that is. Anyways. I'm now a million miles down the rabbit hole. All of this is to say
now I've learned the scheduling format for ACC softball. This is great. I had no clue.
Well, and you can circle 2024 till I force everyone to go to softball again. Sorry, Louisville softball, that is. In terms of baseball, oh my goodness, I accidentally clicked on the golf schedule. Shoot. Akshay's so mad. This is horrible podcasting.
Maggie shows up. We forget producer. The entire last week. We are scrambling at every sport, quite literally. Like, this is the best showing we've had for a new guest.
So I need a drink after this.
April 6th through April 16th, Georgia Tech plays 7 games. That's against North Carolina for 3, Virginia Tech for 3, and Auburn for 1. Those are 7 very difficult games. The very next weekend, they play a 3-game slate against Miami. This team's strength of record is going to go up because it has to. They get Boston College on the road. Shockingly, that is a better Boston College baseball team than we've seen in a long time. They just won in Tennessee, and anyone who's followed college baseball would know that is a very difficult place to play because they've built a team to mash baseballs in Lindsey Nelson Stadium. So that's going to go up. And like I said, they've got a lot of time left. Like, it's baseball. You're going to get stupid things that you've never seen before because that's the entire point of the sport. And we just got that twice in a row this week. So congrats.
Their ACC schedule is just ridiculous because they have that improved Boston College team that you talked about. They have North Carolina, VT, Miami. Then they get a break. They get a timeout with Mercer and then Gardner-Webb. I think both of those are at home. And then Pitt, they'll play some of the weirdest baseball at Kennesaw for the second consecutive year. Then they round out with Duke and UVA. I think UVA is at least a little bit, bit more of a palate cleanser, but everything else is pretty rough.
I'll note for today's game, if you happen to be going to the game, because this is coming out on Tuesday when we play Wofford, someone in our group chat mentioned that Wofford's played 19 games. They have 76 stolen base attempts, and they've stolen 58 of those bases. So we're going to have some activity tomorrow on the base pass. Some activity.
Does anyone have the team stats up to talk about how Tech has done against base runners in steal situations?
Jack, you look that up. I'm going to unbox one more thing because apparently I'm just going in on what Akshay's saying tonight. Did you just say that Virginia would be a palate cleanser?
It's easier, at least narratively, for me, whose brain is stuck in 2019 baseball and hasn't dramatically recovered since. UVA was not that bad.
Akshay, their RPI is 3 in the country.
Anyway, eat at Arby's, everyone.
Jack Rubenstein has faced 12 at stolen bases. He's thrown out 3 guys.
Well, that's going to be tested.
Yep.
I really wish we had access to some of that TrackMan or some of the tracking data to really interrogate how good he is at that, but it's all proprietary, sadly.
I will. Well, yeah, no, it's nice to sit in the press box. But you saw this, Maggie. Did you see that monitor where they have like all the pitch data that would come in when you went to the Notre Dame game?
No, where was that?
In the press box they have a mod. They have 2 ops people, students that work there, and I think they keep a digital scorebook or something like that. But they have a monitor that just shows the location of each pitch, and then if it gets hit, exit velo, spin rate, all this kind of weird stuff. So during games in the press box, we're silently judging, not really silently, we're just seeing how good the umpire is doing because we've got the strike zone given to us in there. Which there's going to be variance. It's college umpires. So this is probably not their full time job, so I give them all sorts of grace there. But it's pretty entertaining to have the TrackMan data watching in the press box.
I love TrackMan. TrackMan is really cool. TrackMan and really Hawkeye are some of my favorite. This is very nerdy. TrackMan and Hawkeye are some of my favorite sports tech innovations in the past like 10 years. They're just fantastic for really diving
They do
deeper
have
into
Hawkeye at the
tracking
stadium
data.
too, but they don't use it yet. They do have it. Yeah.
It's the same stuff they use for nuclear missile tracking. I'm just saying.
That's
Really?
that's lovely to. My goodness, I'm learning too many things today.
Learning so much.
It's something along the lines of that.
Is that our episode title?
Flights,
Learning too much.
You can always come back for a flight tracking episode if that helps.
There are no more
guys,
coaching searches,
this is
so no
so
more
great.
flight tracking. No more coaching searches.
Yeah.
Let's round us out. A couple of notes that I had on golf. They were fourth today at the Linger Longer Invitational. Connor Howe was tied for the lead after the first round, but posted a 76 on day 2 to fall to not first. So that is disappointing, but they're still in the hunt. I think there's 1 day of competition left, maybe 2. So we'll have an update for you on that at the end of the week. And I think that is all the stuff that I had on file. I don't think lacrosse played a game this past weekend, so I think we're good to go. Mr. Grant, I hear you have some trivia for us.
Yes, that I do. It's not complete yet because I'm still in the process of digitizing baseball, but as I've gone through getting all of these delightful sports results in one database for us to look at, I'll have you know this isn't a complete list, but so far through 1926, I want you guys to guess or tell me how many MLB teams Georgia Tech has gone on record as having played against, and I'll give you a bonus point if you can guess one of the ones they've played since 1926.
Maggie, it's all you.
I feel like this is unfair. We already talked about this, guys.
We don't know about the secret one that he just landed on us, though. That's after 1926.
The secret
one? It's easy.
I don't know. What is it?
It's the obvious one. It's the Atlanta Braves. All-time Georgia Tech is 0-12-1 against the Atlanta Braves.
They drew? They drew
Yes.
the Braves?
What? Oh my goodness!
Wow.
We should fly a banner for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's probably
a
called with darkness thing.
Yeah, probably something. They're all on the road.
They may have played the Richmond Braves or whatever the AAA equivalent was of the roster or something like that.
It says Atlanta Braves, so flags.
But have you watched spring training? Like that's what happens when.
Yeah, they sent Vaughn Grissom and Braden Shoemake down today. Anyway,
that's
no existential crisis today.
No, none.
Yeah, there are a lot of high schools on this list. Also, something called Dorch's Bakery. So,
did we win?
Yes, they went 1-0 against Dorch's Bakery in 1946.
This is
you just ever
stuff.
look in the post-war period. Sometimes you just got to play a bakery to get your confidence back.
You just gotta do what you gotta.
That's how you make the dough.
Oh my goodness! Oh my god!
Get a couple pop flies in the bread basket.
Maggie, you can still read the teams that we beat or that we played.
Yeah. So in terms of, sorry, I was scrolling down the list in the media guide. I didn't know we had played the Soviet national team.
What?
That had to have been an Olympics prep.
Wait.
Right?
How did we play the Soviet national team in 1996? That's after that exists. I've got so many questions.
So that is interesting. That's just very interesting.
It might be mismarked. It's probably
86 if I had to guess.
That has to
be.
be.
But they won. They won.
It's probably 86, and if it is 96, it's probably mismarked. The Russia may still have been competing under the Soviet banner. I don't remember.
Who knows?
You're the Olympics guy, Akshay. I don't know.
Wild.
I haven't opened my copy of the fact book recently.
The other 3 teams played actually 4. I missed one. Philadelphia A's, Cleveland Guardians. So that's now the Oakland A's for those keeping score at home. The Cleveland Guardians, the Detroit Tigers, and the one I missed when I was writing these down, the Washington Senators. I do not believe off the top of my head Tech has ever beat any of them. But if you know differently, enjoy that fun fact and maybe send us an email, because we always appreciate when we get emails.
I think that's the version of the Senators that now is the Twins, right? Because then the second version became the Rangers. So
that is. Yep. You're right, Jack.
It'd be bizarre for baseball to work a third time in Washington. It simply can't be possible.
Beat them up on next week. It's going to be so fun.
Simply can't be possible. Mr. Grant, anything else to add to our trivia?
Not particularly, but there's a lot of high schools on this list. A couple
this quickly
Japanese
became
schools.
Fascinating. This has got to be an article at some point. Just this has to be the most random collection of opponents for any sport that a team in Georgia at this D1 level or above has played.
You say that, but having seen the men's basketball list, it honestly might be weirder.
Well,
but that's a story for another
people
time.
to play that, so.
Yeah, several oil companies on that one, but
on the basketball list.
I don't know why.
Did we win?
Did we play our local Citgo?
No, Marathon Oil used to have like a lot of companies used to have like semi-pro teams where they would just barnstorm the country, and apparently Marathon Oil's team was like NBA levels of good or something like, or at least like D1 college basketball levels of good. So, and this was in like the 80s and 90s, like. This was not like 1930. It was like Bobby Cremens, like, yo, Marathon, can you send your team to the Alexander Memorial Coliseum? We got to give Stephen Marbury a tune-up.
We need a scrimmage.
I've got to ask some.
It was the 80s and 90s,
this.
you know?
Yeah.
I gotta. All right, this is amazing.
Jack, if this is your in to get Bobby Cremens on the podcast, by all means.
I really doubt that is. Should think about that, though, just in general.
Yeah. Anyways, so that was all very self-indulgent with the trivia. I will inform everyone once that database is up and spinning across all sports. Volleyball is next to get digitized if anyone has any data requests there. In terms of our outro bits and plugs, they haven't changed. They never do, but we always do appreciate you sending us emails. You can do that at fromtherumbleseat@gmail.com. You can find our website where we post this podcast, where all four of us write things, including many other lovely folks. Sometimes the stuff is about sports. Sometimes it's power rankings. Sometimes it is Survivor and everything in between. Maybe one day I'll write a history column again. We'll see. You can find those at fromtherumbleseat.com. We love your comments. Please leave them there. Tell your friends about the site as well. If you would like to find us on Twitter, you can find us at FTRS blog. I'm at JakeGrant98. Jack is at Jack Nicholas. Don't find Akshay. He doesn't want that. In terms of Section 103, you can find them at Section 103 on Twitter, section103.com. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook as well at From the Rumble Seat, and you can find podcasts wherever fine podcasts are sold, distributed. Remember, rate, review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, whatever floats your boat. But tell your friends. We always appreciate it. And as always, good night, good luck, and go Jackets. We'll see you next week.